Everybody, this is Dan Kerluke, and he is from Cirrus Systems, an amazing company. They were previously in Maine and now in New Hampshire. Actually, they have offices in both now, I believe. And Dan has been working hard for years now, bringing the Cirrus to where it is now, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, all of our clients kind of understand what it is Cirrus is doing and how it can benefit them, and kind of things, any tips or tricks to look out for out there while they're kind of considering all the options that are out there. I'll be quiet now. Thanks for coming, Dan.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. And I'm just one teammate among 50 here at Cirrus, so I'm just one part of the puzzle. But I love working here. I've loved the culture that has existed here even before I got here, that allows us to be creative, to think innovatively. I don't think there's any other manufacturer on the market that iterates as fast as we do in our product line, our software. But to also kind of make a specific point, we don't consider ourselves as a manufacturer. We are a marketing technology company, helping drive value to our customers through developing really cool marketing tools. And that's how we kind of position ourselves here at Cirrus, and how we help our sign shops and our end users.
So kind of to kick this off, I guess, who's Cirrus, the general background, so people understand who's Cirrus, what the history is, and what brought us where we are today.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we are a marketing technology company. We solely have a vision to build the absolute best marketing tools at a price point that is reasonable while delivering premium services and hardware. That is a very key aspect of what we do. We don't do anything cheaply. We don't buy anything cheaply. We don't make anything cheaply. It has to be the best, so it can service the customer the best. So, we're getting close to 9-10 years old as a company. We, our founder Dave Racina, who's our CEO and is the product visionary. So we have a leader who has his hands deep into how we develop, what we develop. I mean, it's amazing granularity he has into our our product, and is ultimately helping us understand how we build and what we need to build next. And it's pretty cool to have a leader that isn't pushing numbers around, but is actively part of making our stuff better, which is really cool. And when you have that from the top down, it definitely instills a culture of creativity and a level of innovation. I think we bring a lot differently than everybody else. But we, Dave came into this market and looked at it in a lens that, wow, there's a lot of deficiencies that exist. These things are really big and heavy. They take 4 to 6 weeks to get to someone's front door. They got a lot of moving parts that make them expensive to make. And the reliability isn't the best, because there is a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of parts in general that have to be all interconnected. And also at that time when we started, there was no cloud software. It didn't exist. And everything was tethered to a computer. And we're called Cirrus actually because after the cloud. And that was like one of the things, like, well, we can fix that. This is 2012. How is there not a cloud platform for LED displays? And no one took the lead on that. Well, let's name our company after that. And we developed the very first cloud platform, like a true web app cloud platform for the market. We were the pioneers to do that. And everyone said we were crazy, but then everyone else followed suit.
Right.
We looked at very specifically what are the deficiencies. We can't just come in here and be another another manufacturer that does it the same way. We looked at it. Well, how can we provide better value while solving all the pain points that exist? So, turnaround time. Well, let's patent a modular product that we can actually build a lot of and stock and ship out the next day. Our lead time is 24 hours. Okay, great. Checkbox number one. Let's build a cloud system that you can actually manipulate your sign from a beach in Hawaii while you're on vacation. Great.
Right.
How do you build a premium display at a mid-market price point. Well, let's make it solid state. Let's simplify the engineering of it. Let's leverage modern engineering techniques, so we don't need to buy as many components to build the displays, thus making it less expensive to actually manufacture. And we made another distinct decision 3 years ago to then, all right, because we always engineered our stuff, kind of like Apple engineered in the US but manufactured in Asia, where we made a very important decision, like we don't want to do that anymore. We want control over the process. We want to leverage even more technology to help this make the product even better, but that had to be on our own terms and our own control. So 3 years ago we decided to actually manufacture this product ourselves, and we could leverage every advanced engineering practice available, every advanced assembly practice available, and even develop some proprietary stuff in between that. But this was all in an effort to build the best product possible that will help end users make money. And we also made a very specific conscious decision I think close to 3 years ago now as well, and we spun up manufacturing. We are only going to sell a high resolution display, because no one wants to buy a $20,000 16 or 19 millimeter that in 2020 can't really do that much with it. And electronic text was novel 20 years ago. Clip art boards were novel a decade ago. Yet that still seems to what people purchase, because they are expensive. They're not it's not like buying a TV. These are much different types of technology. So I digress. When we made the conscious decision to move manufacturing here to the US, we also made the decision to deal only in high resolution displays, and we got rid of our entire product line and made a singular product in the 9 millimeter display that could effectively deliver creative content that makes sure when someone's driving down the street, they're going to look at your sign. At the end of the day, marketing's all about emotional connections to something, right? And if you can't deliver a picture or an image or video, whatever that needs to be, you're buying a brick. You're wasting money, in that investment. So, and now we have a 6 millimeter and a 4 millimeter, and we'll have an interior ultra high res coming shortly as well. But we, all the manufacturing coolness and iteration and everything we've done is just really all in an effort to deliver a high resolution display that we call a digital canvas that helps end users paint whatever story or picture or story they want to tell to help them make money. And that's the sole DNA of what we try to do here at Cirrus.
With regard to hardware, Dan, there's lots of different options out there, just like in any market. A lot of different technologies, a lot of different LED boards that people are going to be looking at, possibly even put hands on and look at. I suppose the best question to ask is what's different about Cirrus boards that would, or Cirrus hardware rather, that would be important for a customer to know. Let's say.
Yeah. And that's another loaded question, because I'm going to go off another tangent on multiple different ways here. But I think that's why I'm proud of this company, because there's so many different value propositions that exist. I know we'll get the software at some point, but if we look at just the hardware itself, I mean, we have a patent on the modularity, meaning like the framing in the module itself. It's a separate independent unit, all built in these 1 by 2 foot sections. And why is that important? Well, that helps us deliver a product in 24 hours. That's great for the end user in the sign shop. But if we kind of look through the lens of an end user, what does that mean for them? That means if you want to upgrade your display in 5 years to an improved resolution, you're just swapping out modules. You leave the whole frame up there. So that makes that really simple, transition to a newer technology. Or maybe I'm a church and I had a budget for a 3x6 today, but I really wanted a 4x8. I just couldn't afford it, and I want to sign now. Well, you can add on modules down the road. That makes it very easy to build a bigger display. We have some very cool advanced tech inside of this module as well. And I don't know for a fact, but and I can't say that I know for a fact, but we could be one of the only manufacturers on the planet that does not have a single wire inside of its LED module, not a single one. And that's pretty novel, where even our former series, the Blade X, had one simple wire connecting, our heatsink and local board to the LED module. We've got actually made an iteration in the X to the M that get rid of all wires completely. So we don't have anything that can corrode or come loose, that can break inside of our module specifically. So it is rugged. I mean, we have a video of me shooting a hockey puck at a display. And I, put some weight into
the description. It'll be in there.
I put some weight into it too, and it doesn't blink. I mean, that's the rigidity our displays have. So this solid state, like, well, how are we different? Well, we don't have any moving parts. We don't have a single wire inside of our modules. It is robust. We also deliver data much differently than our competitors. Right. So we have a very distinct granularity into the health of our module. And we've actually just rolled out into Screen Hub 24/7 monitoring. So here at Cirrus, we're actually looking at your board 24/7. And even before something goes wrong, because we look at data a little bit differently, and I can't get into too much of the proprietary stuff, but we have a view into it that we can see, hey, this looks a little bit funky. The module's fine, but it's still working. But you know what? I think we should replace it before it goes down. So people in the market talk about preventative versus reactive servicing, but I think we're arguably probably the only company who can legitimately say that and work towards that 100% uptime on all fronts. So there's some cool, in terms of the hardware itself, we're pretty much on match in terms of the leveraging the most modern applications of engineering and assembly that you can get in this market period.
So we covered hardware.
Yep.
You can guess what's next.
Sure.
How does software figure into the Cirrus package? I'm guessing it has a lot to do with what you do, because I mean, like you said earlier, the Cirrus name was basically founded on that idea of cloud-based software. So I'll let you fill in the gaps. I also see a little thing over your left shoulder there. Innovation Award winner, it looks like. So I'll let you fill in that gap.
Yeah, that was in 2018. We won an award at International Sign Association for our software, which is really cool. And unfortunately, we can't go to ISA this year, but I would have another one next to it. We won in 2020 Best Digital Display. So we're really honored and proud of that. So when we get to ISA, I'll get the second award up there. Awesome. But yeah, for us, I think a lot of people in this industry treat the software as a kind of some ancillary component to the equation. And to your point, like, we named our company after the software, the cloud. What we've understood early on is, the hardware is obviously a very important part of the equation, but ultimately the end users interface with the software. That's how they make their board look good, and how they interact and schedule and simplify their process to help them make money from the content they're pushing to the board. So we accelerate really fast on our hardware, but equally to our software. We just recently released what we call Screen Hub version 2. And, we didn't make a simple iteration from 1 to 2, which a lot of people would typically do. We actually started from the ground up. We don't share a single line of code from version 1 to version 2, because we wanted to make it vastly better, not just incrementally better, but the delta between the two is significant. And they somewhat look similar. There are a bunch of UI tweaks and improvements, but the engine behind it has been significantly improved to allow us to attach more functionality to it, and additional features to make things simpler. And we're just getting started with the software. I mean, Screen Hub is going to evolve almost every month with new functionality, new this, new that. But it's also important for us, it has to be easy to use. So, I have a 10-year-old daughter, and she's been playing with Screen Hub since she was 8. I mean, she can go in there and create slides, when she was 8, 9 years old. And we want that similar experience for anyone who may not be, an expert with developing content, but how do you make it easy for them? And if they're even still having trouble, that's also what we provide is lifetime training support. So they need that assistance. It's not some some email back and forth between the two parties. And we're going to hop on the phone. We're going to get on the screen share. We're going to help you through it. So we're and we're very user focused in terms of the development process. So let us know, what you don't like or what you do like, and give us feedback, because we only develop our hardware and our software based on feedback from our great shops and our end users. So, I mean, ultimately, you help us drive how to make the product better, and that's important that we, have that communication.
Absolutely. Okay. I know people are asking themselves when they heard that you have those frequent updates and improvements to the software. What does that mean for the customer, though?
That means absolutely nothing. So every time they log in, because we build a web app, which is the modern way of doing software.
Yeah.
So there's no updates. There's no file you download on your computer. It's basically a really intuitive, robust website. So every time you hit the refresh button, you have the latest and greatest. Nothing you have to maintain, update, control. It's very, very simple, very, very intuitive.
Okay. What would be the reasons behind that for your specific solution, so people could understand what goes into that? What makes it last longer? What makes it higher quality, basically?
Yeah, it's many things, and I think what we've done very well is leverage the most advanced modern engineering techniques to build the display, where we do not need moving parts to make our stuff work. And for anyone to say that you need moving parts is a crazy conversation. This is 2020. You have these little phones that can throw 30,000 dots onto your face to open it up. So, the Apple and crew are doing things much more novel than this industry. That's for certain. But in terms of what we're bringing to the market for our industry, we are light years ahead in terms of how these things go together. So when you have fans and other connectors and Ethernet cables and wires and sender receiver, it's another thing that can go wrong. So, how do you build a display that has, the best longevity possible? Reduce the amount of components. I talked about we don't have a single wire in our display. Buy expensive power supplies that are only driven half of what they can do, so they're never stressed. They never get hot. Buy really good LEDs, so they don't generate a lot of heat. They're going to look good and great color saturation. So you got to do a couple things. You got to source really good components, and that's the easy part. But then you need to develop and engineer to make those work really, really well together. You need to build your own control system, which we have a proprietary control system that gives us control over this whole ecosystem. And that's important too. But then you got to put these together, and leveraging advanced robotic techniques. So there's a precision and a repeatability and scalability in what we do. I mean, I would put our manufacturing facility against anyone on the planet, not just domestically here in North America, but we are doing things, and we're just getting started. We got some cool things. Like I know there's a video you can share as a part of that we put out this week. And
yeah, we'll put that in the description too, for sure.
Yeah, and that's just phase one. We got some really cool stuff cooking in terms of the robotic processes to make sure these are, built the absolute best way possible through using premium globally sourced components. Driven by engineering techniques that are modern to today, not what was novel, a decade ago. And that's what we're always learning, getting better, improving. That's why we have a fairly fast iteration process. I mean, we're on our N2, Blade X, Blade M. I mean, we're on our fourth product iteration, in 8 years. No one is accelerating that fast, but
right.
The other thing to note too, Bob, these aren't just like, it's not like a brand new product every time. It's just making it better, making it better, making it better, making it better. Okay. So we're proud of that. And that's just like, that's, the electronics, that's great. But, that's like par for the course with the software that continues to be accelerated. But you take a look at even our frames, like where, okay, we could sit there and continue to make, the same frame for the next 15 years, but no, how do we make a better frame, make it 10x the strength of the old one, make it thinner, and you know what, taking manufacturing into our own building so we control the process and the supply chain, and without increasing costs. So bringing that in-house, we made a frame that's 10x better, yet not increasing cost. I mean, that's how we work, and we're bringing plastics into Cirrus by year's end. We're going to be doing our own plastics, which is really neat. So you talk about vertical integration. If I was to, share, like, who do you compare Cirrus to? And I'm going to, bring in Tesla and what they've done, whether you're an electric car fan or not, but what they've done in this market is completely disrupt how this, how the auto industry worked, for decades. And here's this, company, Tesla, and electric cars, and that's going to phase out quickly. Well, no, they looked at quality, they looked at value, they looked at manufacturing processes so they could develop a better car at a lower price point that is also completely different than anything else. And they also vertically integrate all of their electronics so they have control, down to the control board in their cars, right? They're not using a third-party NVIDIA graphics card. Yeah. They have, their own Tesla designed PCB, which Cirrus is the same way. We're not using an off-the-shelf third-party PCB for our stuff. There's a Cirrus logo branded on our electronics because we engineer that product, and that vertical integration gives us the control over our tech that no one else can.
So what are some sort of misconceptions in Cirrus's mind that people that are looking for LED signs might have? Some mistakes that maybe they could be at risk of making that we could help them avoid. What would you say would be the important one?
I think attention to content is important. At the end of the day, and I'm sure everyone in this industry is going to say the same thing, but especially when you're buying a Cirrus display, you have that really amazing flexibility to deliver really engaging graphics, whether it's pictures, video, whatever. We don't look at it like, we get how many lines of text can you have? I mean, that was a conversation relevant, 5 years ago, or if you're buying a 16 or 19 millimeter, but for a Cirrus display with a 9, 6, and a 4, I mean, it's like a TV screen. So put whatever you want on your screen, but I would definitely, recommend, invest time into developing good content, because if you're creative and clever, it will pay off in big bucks on converting people into your services and products. I think some people, they get all hopped up in the sign, they get it installed, and they kind of use it, but they don't really use it. And I would suggest just forcing yourself to schedule, an hour, maybe, 2 a week that you're spending time thinking creatively about content. That's whether, investigating how other people are doing it or best practices for marketing. Yeah. And you don't need to be a marketing expert. There's tons of collateral and articles out there to see what will work well, but invest that time. It will pay off in dollars in your pocket. Just to kind of support my previous comment, because I think, solid state, new moving parts. I mean, when you throw a visual into here, it becomes very quick to discern, why that is important. And when you have less components, it means less, things that can go wrong. So, I mean, if you were to take off the heat sink on our display on the right there on our module, I mean, there's not a single wire inside of that, which is remarkable. And even you talk about a service call. Let's say something goes wrong. We're not infallible. Things can go wrong. And if something does go wrong, I mean, it's a 30-second swap out. You turn those 2 knobs, or you can service it from the front, and you pop that out, pop that in. And we even have a patent on these sensors that exist in every edge, and you can press your controller button. You can actually now, which is pretty cool, Bob, I don't think I've told you this, but even from Screen Hub, you can now auto map your display. So if you replace a panel, you press the auto map button, Screen Hub, it activates the sensors. The sensors talk to each other, and the display automatically maps itself. Like, we have a patent on that.
Oh, wow.
No one else can do that. So like a service call is literally 30 seconds.
Wow.
You can't fix it remotely from Cirrus first. So that's
Nice.
that's really cool. But if I go back to I'm going to go back to this image here. So when we talk about resolution, you know, what does that mean? And if I was to go back one more slide here, let's break it down what, you know, a 16 versus a 9 really means, let alone a 6. And I think, you know, 16 versus 9, okay, well, I don't know what that really means. Like, you know,
you mean definition, right? Like definition.
It's everything. Yeah, because if you look at the pixel counts, like, okay, you know, 16 millimeter, if you take like all manufacturers, could be from anywhere from 92 to 10,000 pixels. But if you look at our display, and our display is going to be priced similarly to a 16 millimeter, I mean, you got 33,000 pixels versus a 16, let alone what a 6 millimeter looks at, 74,000 pixels almost. But let's talk about what does that actually mean for me as an end user. So let's talk about, you know, marketing again, right? Because we talked about Cirrus as a marketing technology company. This is what we care about, because, you know, a 16 millimeter display in 2020, I mean, that's antiquated tech. No one should buy that anymore. And we deliver a product that allows you to buy a 9 in a 16 millimeter price point, because it was really novel a decade ago to go like, wow, we can, you know, have clip art on a shrimp tackle box versus put an image of our food. So when someone's driving by, that emotional connection can be triggered. Yes, I want to go into drive-through and I want to pick up a chicken strip box. And that has the major impact on your bottom line. That's just how you make money. You know, a changing message on a board isn't powerful versus actually promoting your food on your display outside of your business. And in case in point, this IHOP display, this was outside of our old manufacturing facility in Saco, Maine, but this display took $26 out of my own wallet. So this was a year and a half-ish ago, something like that, and I was driving by this sign with my daughter. And at the time, they were promoting the Grinch. They had the Grinch movie, and IHOP had a Grinch pancakes and everything else. And we're driving by after hockey practice, and my daughter sees the sign, and they had the, you know, the Grinch, and they had the Grinch pancakes with the disgusting green icing dripping off of it. And my daughter, we go get Grinch pancakes. And I have not been in IHOP in 30 years, not a word of a lie. I haven't been in there in forever. And I'm like, my daughter's asking, and I'm an old softy with my daughter, and I'm like, I don't know. So let's maybe next weekend after hockey. So, you know, next weekend comes by, and Dad, the Grinch pancakes are still there. And I said, okay. And so I'm inside of IHOP, but I haven't been in 30 years, spending $26 on pancakes and bacon, because the content on the screen allowed my daughter to get excited about and take my money. You know,
Wow.
so that's the impact high resolution has, and why we only deliver, you know, a 9, 6, and 4 millimeter, because that makes an impact on your revenue as an end user.
Right.
And that's, you know, if I was to strip everything else out about our company, that is what we do really well. We help you make money. Because we look at, you know, this product that we sell through a marketing lens, people have repurposed this image that the U.S. Small Business Administration put out a while ago. You know, we've actually modernized this with like 2020 CPM rates. We added, you know, Google AdWords in there, so we needed to add, like, make it relatable to today, not something that was pushed out a decade ago. But this is where, you know, I think people need to understand the ROI and the effectiveness of an LED display, because if you look at this tool, it's a marketing tool, these displays. You cannot look at this as a capital expense, and you have to align, like, yes, they're expensive. They need to last outside for 10 years, and they're expensive to develop and everything else that goes into that. But if you look at this as a marketing tool, as aligning this to your monthly marketing budget, and if you're spending anything on any of these channels, just redistribute, your monthly marketing spend to include an LED display. Because I think when you look at this graph in particular, it's really, really efficient in the cost per thousand exposures. But if we take that a step further, why does this stuff work? Why do LED displays work? It's because they're hyper localized. It's because that sign is outside of your business, and if it's has a resolution that can make an impact, you're going to be getting eyeballs from people who live in your community. It's the person going to and from work every day by your sign. That surgical hyper localization can only be done by an LED display, and that's the effect of this. Why these things work, and you look at, let's take this a step further. Let's look at on average what a 4x8 double-sided display will cost on a monthly basis, and however you purchase it. And let's take a Taco Bell franchise that's making related to your own business if you're not a restaurant. But if you look at in that 10 to 15% range of what you can likely expect if you do a good job with your messaging, on a 12-month increase in revenue, yes, please, I'll take another $234,000 into my bank account because I'm going to invest into a display, and I'm going to invest time into creating good content to make sure that display is going to be effective. But in this day and age with COVID itself, and Bob, I'm going to just bring up another deck here, which we'll continue the conversation. But if we look at today what it looks like, right, and this is what we are all experiencing together, and it's frustrating, and this will go away at some point. And if we begin to map out what digital can do, what is going to be permanent or increased, I guess, yes, the COVID lines will go away, but curbside pickup is here to stay for any type of retailer. That is going to increase, and it was happening before COVID even started. Curbside pickup was becoming a thing. Now it's just going to be a major part of many businesses, restaurants, and other things. But let's look at what the customer journey looks like now. And there's this store outside the store concept where you're going to have to not only get people engaged from a roadside perspective, but from a curbside perspective too. And we go through what does digital do for me today from a roadside perspective? Like, yes, it's about entertaining, it's about engaging me from the road, but it's also let me know you're thinking about COVID and you're taking precautions. I'm going to feel safe as I come in. Yes, I will come into Walmart and pick up a jug of almond milk. But let's look about digitizing curbside, where that 8 to 10 minutes that I have in this scenario to entertain me, engage me, make it fun to come to Walmart. I mean, sports are coming back. We can put up hockey highlights. We can put the weather. We can put the news. We can send promotions in real time based on your card history. We can get really creative among this customer journey outside the store. But this is something I think that can't be ignored, where exterior digital is going to be important to kind of replan how your customers interact with your business. And I think it does extend beyond just roadside digital. So I just wanted to kind of make that point where I think people can get really creative in how they deploy digital strategies to help the customer experience, customer engagement, and obviously for advertising.